Hi, welcome to Daily Spark, day 75. I can't believe we're already at 75. It's March 16th. Hmm. How does my environment quietly teach me how to feel? How does my environment quietly teach me how to feel? Well, quietly or not so quietly. Um, I feel like the influence kind of goes both ways. It's uh, like what I'm thinking of, what immediately came, let me just get this out so I can not forget it, is like the way I go into a new environment that I haven't put forth I haven't infused myself into. Like it's not my home where my things are about me that mean something to me that I actually bought and that I put there. It's not like infused with me. So it's it might be a grocery store or whatever. So there's that that came to me as like how does how do external unfamiliar, well, familiar, but you know what I mean, uninfused environments teach me how to feel? And then it feels like, how do infused environments teach me how to feel? Meaning there's been this reciprocal kind of energy of like I've infused myself into it, and there's some feedback, you know? There's a feedback of myself back to myself in that. So I don't know if we need to tease that apart, but that was the immediate thing that was like really interesting to me. How does my environment quietly teach me how to feel? Because it's like I taught my environment how to teach me how to feel. If it's like my home, my feelings made the environment, and then there's a feedback loop happening. Now my environment's making me feel a certain way. So it's like I'm thinking about clutter. Like if I've been in a really busy kind of overextended week or something, and I just let clutter build up because I don't have time to clean as I go. I don't have one afternoon or day or whatever just to clean everything or pick up all the clutter. And there are multiple people in the house, so I can't be doing all the decluttering, and it's like, so by the end of that week, I might feel, first of all, exhausted because that's what led to the cluttering. And then I might feel a little defeated because I'm like, man, look at all this clutter. It just feels like an uncomfortable environment, because clutter creates like noise in the mind, or like oppression, from your stuff. That's just like, and then there's this like another layer of exhaustion just thinking about having to declutter everything. So it's like this, so that, and then, so there's like this, I felt a certain way that led to the clutter. And then having the clutter reflected back to me makes me feel yet another way on top of that. Man, so that was an example of the feedback loop. But then, like, I go to the grocery store, which I'm familiar with, but it's not like I'm looking out there saying, "Oh, look at all my stuff. Look what I've done to this place." It's not infused with me. So how does it teach me how to feel? And it's like, to me, I'm very sensitive to light and sounds to some extent. Light's a big one for me. Um, I'm kind of a vampire, and really like startling stimulus I'm really sensitive to, or abrasive touch or textures or anything that feels abrasive. And I know where all that comes from. I've been working on it for a long time and made some headway, but I'm still just really sensitive. And so when I go into an environment, it's it still feels like it's not so much it teaching me how to feel. I'm allowing myself to feel that way in some way. I mean, I've thought about this a lot because there are highly sensitive people. My husband calls me an HSP, but I don't know. There's a spectrum, of course, for everything. So I'm not the most HSP person, but there's like a sensitivity that I feel like sometimes I feel like I don't want to control. I don't want to suppress that. I don't want to just power through. I want to be sensitive to my surroundings. I want to feel things. Most of my life I've shut it down just to power through. So now that I'm allowing it to exist, it's like I don't think of that as my environment teaching me how to feel. I just feel like that's how I let allow the environment into me, and that informs more about me. So maybe that's what it means by how does it teach me how to feel. So like I walk into the grocery store and there's these oppressive, loud, bright, fluorescent lights, and I'm like, let's just get through this. Let's just go, And part of me, I do have to shut down a lot of the pain. Really, it feels like pain just to get through and still smile and be friendly with people. So it's like what the environment teaching's the word I'm hung up on, because I don't know if it's teaching me how to feel, but it's definitely providing some feedback that says you don't prefer this environment. It could be more pleasant. It could be more comfortable, and it's not. This environment was not made for you, and that's okay. You can still do it. Grocery store is probably a silly example, but there are other environments that are way more abrasive that sometimes we have to be in. Walmart. I know in other cities you don't have to go to Walmart. Where I live, it's kind of like yeah, you don't have to, but you kind of have to sometimes. And it can be even more overwhelming than a grocery store, where it's like everything feels oppressive. The height of the shelves, just the sheer amount of products, consumerism, which I'm participating in. Like these environments teach me that this modern world went haywire at somewhere, and it makes me want to retreat back to a space I can make comfortable. It might not look like it, but the lights in here are really dim, and we put in like colored lights, and I can control the intense, like the brightness with my phone, so that I can just cocoon up and have a space that's not abrasive. So what is it for you? I don't know what else to do with this one, but the most interesting part I thought about maybe was like that whole feedback loop and how we infuse our environment with ourselves, and how that feeds back to us and probably creates another layer of feeling on top of it. Like, so if we take the time to infuse our environment with things we love, like now when I come into to this place with my nice lights, even though that looks chaotic, I love it so much because it's infused with my creativity. And I'm like, I look at it and I don't see clutter and I don't see chaos, really. I look at it and say, ooh, what's going to strike me next that I can dive into, But there is a tipping point. Like, don't you feel like we each have our tipping points with clutter? There's a certain point, even with fun stuff, where it gets too wild. I'm like, shut it down, block the calendar. We got to clean, because there's a tipping point. And I feel like maybe other environments are like that too. Like maybe there are certain environments that I will avoid because it's past my tipping point in wanting to suppress my sensitivity to the environment. So even things I haven't infused, but like the things I can't control, then I just won't put myself in those environments. Just won't do it. Nope. So what about you? What'd this bring up for you? Are you an HSP? Let's get into a support group alone in our own house with low lighting. Bye.